The diner's neon sign flickered, casting a pink glow over the rain-slicked pavement. Inside, the clatter of plates and bursts of laughter hid a secret that could unravel everything. Ethan Cole, the owner of Sonny's Diner, stood in the alley, heart pounding, about to step into a life he'd kept hidden for years. Ethan adjusted the borrowed waiter's apron, its frayed edges scratching against his skin. At 35, he was the picture of success, a sharp suit, a corner office, and a chain of diners across California that bore his name. But tonight, he wasn't the boss. He was Evan, a new hire, blending into the chaos of the late shift at his flagship location in San Francisco. The decision to go undercover had been impulsive, sparked by whispers from his HR manager about low morale and rumors circulating among the staff. Rumors about him. Ethan had built Sonny's Diner on inclusivity, a safe haven for everyone. But the irony wasn't lost on him. He'd never felt safe enough to be himself. The bell above the door jingled as he stepped inside. The air smelled of coffee and fried onions, and the hum of conversation wrapped around him like a familiar song. He scanned the room, waiters weaving through tables, a cook shouting orders, and a group of regulars laughing over milkshakes. His eyes landed on Jamie, the head waiter, whose easy charm and quick wit kept the place alive. Jamie was 25, with tousled dark hair and a smile that could disarm anyone. Ethan had noticed him before too often, if he was honest, but tonight, he pushed the thought aside. He was here to listen, to learn, not to get distracted. New guy? Evan. Right. Jamie called, tossing him a rag. Wipe down table 6. Don't stand there looking lost. His tone was teasing, but his eyes held a spark of curiosity. Ethan nodded, fumbling with the rag, his hands betraying the nerves he'd spent years hiding. He wasn't used to being on this side of the counter, taking orders instead of giving them. But he needed to know what his staff really thought about the diner, about him, about the rumors that he was gay, a truth he'd buried under layers of professionalism. As he cleaned, Ethan overheard snippets of conversation. Boss man's never here, a cook muttered. Thinks he's too good for us, another added. Ethan's jaw tightened. He'd poured his heart into this place, but the disconnect was clear. Then, at the counter, Jamie leaned close to a waitress named Lila, their voices low but sharp. You hear what they're saying about Ethan Cole? Jamie said, smirking. They think he's hiding something juicy. Lila laughed, and Ethan's blood ran cold. He froze, rag in hand, waiting for more. But Jamie just winked at Lila and moved on. The night wore on, and Ethan threw himself into the role. He took orders, spilled coffee, and endured Jamie's playful jabs about his rookie moves. But every laugh, every glance, felt like a test. Did they know? Could they see through him? By midnight, his nerves were raw, but he'd caught glimpses of the diner's pulse, overworked staff, underpaid cooks, and a camaraderie that held it all together. He admired it, envied it even, but the weight of his secret pressed harder. At closing, Jamie cornered him near the dish station. You're quiet. Evan. Got a story. His tone was light, but his gaze was piercing. Ethan's throat tightened. He wanted to say something real, to bridge the gap between who he was and who he pretended to be. Instead, he muttered, just here to work. Jamie raised an eyebrow, unconvinced, and Ethan felt the walls closing in. He'd come to uncover the truth about his diner, but the truth about himself was clawing its way out. The next night, Ethan returned, his Evan persona feeling like a second skin he couldn't shed. The diner was busier, a Friday night crowd spilling in, their voices a chaotic symphony. He moved faster now, taking orders with less hesitation, but the weight of his mission grew heavier. He wasn't just here to fix the diner. He was here to face himself. Jamie was everywhere, a whirlwind of energy, joking with customers and rallying the staff. Ethan watched him, caught between admiration and unease. Jamie's ease with people, his unapologetic openness, was everything Ethan wasn't. He'd spent years crafting a life where no one could question him, where his personal truth stayed locked away. But watching Jamie, Ethan felt a pang of something dangerous, longing. At a lull, Ethan overheard Lila and another waiter. "Marcus, by the coffee machine. You think the boss is really, you know?" Marcus whispered, smirking. Lila shrugged. "Does it matter? He's never around. Probably too busy living his fancy life." Ethan's chest tightened. They didn't just question his leadership. They questioned his authenticity. He wanted to interrupt, to defend himself. But Evan had to stay silent. Later, a customer complaint tested Ethan's resolve. A loud man at table 9 sent back his burger, yelling about it being undercooked. Ethan, still clumsy in his role, tried to defuse the situation, but the man's temper flared. "Get me someone who knows what they're doing," he barked. Jamie swooped in, all charm and calm, smoothing things over with a free dessert and a grin. "Don't sweat it, Evan," he said after. "Takes time to get the hang of this." His hand brushed Ethan's arm, a fleeting touch that sent a jolt through him. Ethan mumbled a thanks and turned away, his heart racing. By the end of the shift, Ethan was exhausted, not from the work, but from the constant vigilance. He lingered in the break room, pretending to check his phone, hoping to catch more of the staff's unguarded talk. Jamie plopped down across from him, cracking open a soda. "You're not half bad for a newbie," he said, his smile teasing. "But you're hiding something. I can tell." Ethan's pulse spiked. He forced a laugh, deflecting. "Just tired, man." But Jamie's eyes lingered, searching, and Ethan felt exposed in a way he hadn't in years. That night, alone in his apartment, Ethan replayed the day. The diner was his pride, but it was also his shield, a place where he could be the boss without being seen. Going undercover had cracked that shield, and Jamie's words, his damn intuition, were prying it open. Ethan poured a glass of whiskey, staring out at the city lights. He'd built a life where no one could hurt him, but it was lonely at the top. And now, the one person who seemed to see through him was a waiter who didn't even know his real name. A week in, Ethan was no closer to fixing the diner's issues, but he was deeper in his own. The staff's complaints, long hours, low pay, and a boss who felt like a ghost echoed in his mind. He'd always prided himself on fairness. But undercover, he saw the cracks, understaffed shifts, broken equipment, and a sense of being unheard. It stung, but what hurt more was the growing chatter about his personal life. One night, during a slow moment, Ethan caught a conversation that stopped him cold. Lila and Marcus were wiping down tables, their voices carrying. "I heard Ethan Cole's got a boyfriend in L. A," Marcus said, chuckling. "Some big-shot lawyer." Lila snorted. "No way. He's too stiff to have a life like that." Ethan's hands shook as he bussed a table nearby. The rumors weren't just about his sexuality. They were spinning a life he didn't have. He wanted to laugh it off, but the casual way they mocked his secrecy cut deep. Jamie, as always, was the wild card. He'd taken to mentoring Ethan, showing him tricks to balance trays or handle rude customers. Each interaction was a mix of camaraderie and tension, Jamie's warmth pulling Ethan in while his own walls pushed back. One night, Jamie dragged him to the back for a team huddle after a chaotic shift. The staff gathered, sharing beers and stories. Ethan stayed quiet, but Jamie nudged him. "Come on, Evan, spill. Where you from?" Ethan froze, then mumbled something about moving from Chicago. The lie felt heavy, but Jamie's grin made it worth it. As days passed, Ethan started to see the diner through the staff's eyes. They loved the place, despite its flaws, because it was theirs. He jotted notes in a small notebook: fix the fryer, hire more staff, raise wages. But the real challenge was personal. Every time Jamie smiled or teased him, Ethan felt the pull to be honest, to shed Evan and let someone in. But fear held him back, fear of judgment, of losing control, of the life he'd built crumbling. One evening, a pride flag sticker appeared on the diner's door, bright against the glass. Ethan stared at it, heart pounding. He hadn't ordered it, but it felt like a dare. Jamie caught him looking and smirked. Looks good, right? Makes this place feel like home. Ethan nodded, unable to speak. Home. The word lingered, a promise and a risk. The diner's rhythm was addictive, a chaos Ethan hadn't known he craved. But the deeper he sank into Evan, the more his real life felt like a lie. He was starting to care too much about the staff, about Jamie, about the truth he was hiding. The rumors about his life were growing, and each one felt like a spotlight on his carefully guarded world. One night, a fight broke out at the counter. Two drunk customers argued over a spilled drink, and it escalated fast. Ethan stepped in, trying to calm them, but his inexperience showed. Jamie was there in seconds, defusing the tension with a mix of humor and authority. All right, fellas, take it outside or I'm cutting you off, he said, his voice firm but kind. The customers backed down, and the diner cheered. Ethan felt a mix of gratitude and inadequacy. Jamie was a natural leader, and Ethan, the actual boss, was floundering. Later, in the alley during a break, Jamie handed Ethan a cigarette. You're not half bad under pressure, he said, lighting his own. Ethan declined the cigarette but stayed, the cool night air easing his nerves. You're good at this, Ethan said, meaning more than he could say. Jamie shrugged. Gotta be. This place is family. The word hit Ethan hard. Family. He'd never had one. Not really. Not since he'd left home at 18 to escape a father who'd never accept him. The conversation turned personal. Jamie sharing bits of his life, growing up in a small town, coming out at 16, finding a home in San Francisco. Ethan listened, aching to reciprocate but trapped by his own deception. What about you, Evan? Jamie asked, his eyes soft but probing. Who are you when you're not here? Ethan's mouth went dry. He wanted to tell Jamie everything, his real name, his fears, his feelings, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he said, just a guy trying to figure it out. Jamie nodded, but the silence that followed felt heavy with unspoken truths. Back inside, Ethan overheard another rumor. This time, it was vicious. Someone claimed Ethan Cole was hiding his identity to dodge a scandal. The words stung, but they also lit a fire. He couldn't keep hiding forever. The diner deserved better, and so did he. Ethan's double life was unraveling. Each shift blurred the line between Evan and Ethan, and the effort to keep them separate was exhausting. He was falling for Jamie, not just his charm, but his heart, his fierce loyalty to the diner and its people. But every step closer to Jamie was a step closer to exposure. One night, a staff meeting went south. The manager, Carla, announced a new policy cutting overtime pay, and the room erupted. This is bullshit, Marcus shouted. Ethan Cole doesn't give a damn about us. Ethan, standing in the back as Evan, bit his tongue. He wanted to fix it, to promise change, but he couldn't blow his cover. Jamie, though, stood up, his voice steady. We're the ones keeping this place alive. We deserve better. The room cheered, and Ethan's heart sank. Jamie was right, and Ethan had failed them. After the meeting, Jamie pulled Ethan aside. You okay? Evan, you look like you're carrying the world. Ethan forced a smile. Just hate seeing everyone so pissed. Jamie studied him. Too perceptive for comfort. You're not like the others. You care too much for a newbie. Ethan's breath caught. He wanted to confess. To tell Jamie he was the boss. That he cared because this was his life's work. But fear stopped him again. The next day, Ethan, as himself, called Carla to reverse the overtime cut and approve raises. She was stunned but didn't question him. Back at the diner as Evan, he saw the news spread like wildfire. The staff was ecstatic, but Jamie was skeptical. Sounds like the boss is covering his ass, he said to Lila. Ethan overheard, his relief souring. He'd made a difference, but it wasn't enough. They still didn't trust him. That night, Jamie invited Ethan to a local bar with the staff. Against his better judgment, he went. The bar was loud, packed with pride flags and laughter. Jamie was in his element, dancing with Lila, pulling Ethan into the chaos. For a moment, Ethan let go, laughing, feeling alive. But when Jamie's hand lingered on his, the world tilted. He wanted Jamie, but the lie stood in the way. The diner was changing, and so was Ethan. His notes had turned into action, a new fryer, extra staff, better wages. The mood lifted, but the rumors about him didn't stop. They'd grown wilder, painting him as a recluse with a secret lover or a shady past. Ethan laughed it off as Evan, but inside, it hurt. He wasn't just hiding his identity. He was hiding his heart. Jamie was the biggest complication. Their late-night talks had become a ritual, sharing stories in the alley or over coffee after closing. Jamie opened up about his dreams opening his own cafe, building a life with someone who got him. Ethan listened, falling harder, but the guilt was suffocating. Every time Jamie called him Evan, it was a reminder of the lie. One night, disaster struck. A pipe burst in the kitchen, flooding the floor. The staff scrambled, but Ethan took charge, directing them to shut off the water and save equipment. Jamie watched, impressed. You're full of surprises, Evan, he said, clapping him on the shoulder. Ethan's smile faltered. He was tired of surprises, tired of hiding. He wanted Jamie to know him, the real him. Later, alone in the office, Ethan found a photo on the wall, the diner's opening day. Him cutting the ribbon, smiling but guarded. He barely recognized that man. The door creaked, and Jamie walked in. You left your rag, he said, then paused, seeing the photo. That's the boss. Huh. Looks lonely. Ethan's heart stopped. He wanted to tell Jamie everything, but the word stuck. Instead, he nodded, muttering, yeah, maybe. That night, Ethan made a decision. He couldn't keep this up. The diner was better, but he wasn't. He needed to come clean to Jamie, to everyone. But the thought of losing Jamie's trust, his smile, his warmth, was paralyzing. He went home, staring at his reflection, wondering who he'd be without the mask. The final night, as Evan was a reckoning. Ethan arrived at the diner, his resolve shaky but firm. He'd tell the truth tonight, no matter the cost. The staff was in high spirits, the diner buzzing with a new energy. Ethan's changes had worked, but the rumors about him had reached a fever pitch. He overheard Lila whisper to Marcus, bet he's hiding something big. Maybe he's here, spying on us. Ethan's stomach dropped. They were closer to the truth than they knew. Jamie was quieter than usual. His usual spark dimmed. Ethan caught him staring during a lull, his expression unreadable. You okay? Ethan asked, wiping down the counter. Jamie shrugged. Just wondering about you. Evan. You don't add up. Ethan's heart raced. He wanted to confess right there, but customers flooded in, pulling them apart. The shift was grueling, a nonstop rush that left no room for talk. But at closing, Jamie grabbed Ethan's arm. "Walk with me," he said, leading him to the alley. The air was cool, the city quiet. Jamie lit a cigarette, his eyes searching Ethan's. "I know you're not who you say you are," he said softly. Ethan froze, his carefully built walls crumbling. "Jamie," he started, but Jamie cut him off. "Don't lie. Not to me." The hurt in his voice was a knife to Ethan's chest. Ethan took a breath, the truth spilling out. "I'm Ethan Cole. I own this place. I went undercover to fix things, to understand you all." Jamie's face hardened, his eyes flashing with betrayal. "You lied to us. To me." Ethan reached for him, desperate. "I was scared. Scared of who I am, of what you'd think." Jamie stepped back, shaking his head. "You should have trusted me." He walked away, leaving Ethan alone in the dark. The next morning, Ethan called a staff meeting. No disguise, no lies. He stood at the front of the diner, heart pounding, as the staff gathered. Jamie was there, arms crossed, his face a mask of hurt. Ethan cleared his throat, his voice steady despite the fear. "I'm Ethan Cole, and I've been working as Evan to learn what you need. I'm sorry for lying. I thought I was protecting myself, but I was wrong." He laid it all bare, the rumors, his fear, his truth. "I'm gay," he said, the words heavy but freeing. "I hid it because I didn't think I could be your boss and be me. But you deserve better. This diner is my heart, and so are you." The room was silent. Then Lila spoke. "You should have told us. We'd have had your back." Murmurs of agreement followed, and Ethan's eyes stung. Jamie stayed silent, slipping out before the meeting ended. Ethan found him in the alley, staring at the city. "I'm sorry," Ethan said, voice breaking. "I didn't want to hurt you." Jamie turned, his eyes soft but guarded. "I liked Evan. I trusted him. But I think I could trust Ethan, too, if he's real with me." Ethan nodded, a weight lifting. "I'm done hiding." They talked for hours, the truth rebuilding what the lie had broken. Jamie didn't forgive him right away, but he didn't walk away either. The diner thrived, a true home now, and Ethan stepped into his role, not just as the boss, but as himself. The pride flag on the door shone brighter, a symbol of a truth no longer hidden. And in Jamie's smile, Ethan found the courage to live fully, finally free.